Hello everyone. In the previous video in the Analytics Center overview series, we looked at some of the key features of the Report Designer module. In this video, we are going to use those features to create a medium complexity report which brings down data from multiple data tables. So let's look at this in action. I'm going to click on Analytics. So the reports which I'm going to build today is the AW sales overview. It's one of the sample reports which is available along with the product. So if you see over here, this is the report. It has three charts. The first one is a combination chart which shows total sales and invoices per year. So if you see, there is a year mentioned on the x-axis, total sales on the y-axis, also the total invoices on the y-axis. So it has a combination chart. The next chart is a sales by subcategory. It is a tree map. And the third one is a total sales by category, which is a pivot table. So this is the report which we are going to build today. So I'm going to navigate back to my analytics center and I'm going to start creating the new report. So I'm going to hover over this menu for reports and say create a report. I'm going to minimize the top menu. So by now you are already familiar with this interface. So I'm going to start setting up my data source. The first table I'm going to use is I'm going to actually create it of AdventureWorks data source which I have. I have multiple of those, so I'm going to just quickly minimize these. And I'm going to concentrate only on the AdventureWorks data source. So the first table I'm going to use is products. That's a product table. It got selected now. The next one is product category. The third one I want to use is product subcategory. And I'm going to scroll down further. I can search from the top as well. I'm going to say sales order detail is the next one. Sales order header. And I just need one more table, which is special offer product. So these are the tables which I used in as part of my report. As you can see, the moment I'm selecting these tables from my data source, it is also telling me what are the relationship between these tables. I'm going to go with the default, which was available at the database level itself. I'm going to quickly switch to the design tab. So we are taken to the design tab of the report designer, and this is where I'm going to start creating my report. We are going to work on the report body, and the first chart I want to add is of type combination chart. So I click on chart, and on the chart type, I'm going to scroll down and select a combination chart. For the title of the chart, I'm going to put total sales and invoice per year. I'm going to click on settings. I'm going to set the font style family as Roboto, size as 20. And for the font color, I'm going to use gray. Here is the hex code which I wanted to use. You can use the color picker as well. And I'm going to keep it center aligned. So I got my desired look and feel as far as the title is concerned. Now I'm going to start creating the report. On the x-axis, I'm going to put order date, which is available in my sales order header table. I'm going to drag and drop this. When I select the field, it shows me the fields properties over here. If I select the report part at the top, it shows me the report part properties. I'm more interested in the field properties right now. So I'm going to select the field properties, and the alias name over here, I'm going to just add a space, which looks a little bit better. Then on the value column, I'm going to add total sales in the metrics. So I'm going to scroll down. And I'm going to add the total due from the sales order header in metrics 1. I'm going to say this is a sum, and the format to be used is 1 million. So there are various formats which are available. So I'm going to say $1 million is the format I want to use over here. So it looks okay to me, but I'm going to change some of the aliasing for this column. So I'm going to call this total sales. which gets reflected over here. And this is of type column. Now I'm going to add one more matrix. And in this one, I'm going to drag and drop sales order ID. And this one, I want the count of invoices. So instead of sum, I'm going to select count. And this will be shown in thousands. So I'm going to pick the format of 1K. And for the name of the column, I'm going to just call it total invoices. So it now shows my report. I can see, and I'm going to say that this is of type a line chart over here. It shows both my reports. If I switch back from the drop down to all, both the reports are shown over here. I'm going to quickly configure some chart level settings as well. I'm going to go to border. I'm going to say make the border visible. And for the border color, I'm going to use gray. So this looks okay to me. On the XY plane, if I go to the XY plane over here, I can quickly see if the name of my columns looks correct. So I see that it is correct. I can specify an interval as well, which would have changed the intervals, but I'm happy with whatever I see over here. So I'm going to just go with the defaults. So that's it. I'm done with my report number one. I'm going to hover over the top menu and I'm going to say return back to the preview mode. And for this one, I'm going to reduce the size. I'm going to say this looks a good size to me. So I'm going to just keep it this way. I'm going to add the second report now, which is a tree map. I'm going to go over here and add a tree map. I'm going to again click on chart. And this time from the drop down, I'm going to select tree map. I'm going to go back to my scratch pad and this time I'm going to show sales by subcategory. Again, I'm going to quickly go over here, set it to Roboto 20. For the color, I'm going to use gray. And it is center aligned. So I'm done with the title part. And now I'm going to start configuring the chart properties itself. So on the label column, I'm going to drag and drop name field from the subcategory table because this is for subcategory chart. So I'm going to say name field from subcategory and the properties look okay to me. So I'm going to go with the default. And in the sales part, I'm going to go to sales order header table and drag and drop the sales total due to the values column. Again, I'm going to say this total due will be sum and it would be shown in millions. I'm going to select $1 million over here and I'm going to just rename it to total sales in terms of dollars. So I'm done with the setting of this column and now I'm going to change some of the chart settings. So I'm going to click on the header again to bring up the report part properties. I could click on this tab as well. I'm going to quickly put a border which is of type color gray. On the themes, I'm going to select Boston Blue theme, which is one of the themes available out of the box. I'm going to say this will be multicolor. And I also want to see the value labels and slice labels on top of these blocks. So it looks a little bit better now. I'm going to also increase the preview records to show all records. So I can see a little bit more blocks over here. And one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off pagination in this case. Okay, so this report is done as well. I'm going to click back on the preview mode. So here is my report. I'm going to reduce the size of this report similar to the previous one and it looks good to me now. I'm going to add a pivot table over here now. So I'm going to click on the empty area. I'm going to select a grid And in this grid, first I'm going to go to grid style, and there are various grid styles which are supported: a vertical grid, a horizontal grid, a pivot grid, and a drill down. So I'm going to select pivot from here, and you can always see the preview image on the side which tells you how the grid would look like. So I'm going to say this is a pivot grid. The title, I'm going to call it total sales by category. On the settings, I'm going to say Roboto 20. For the color, I'm going to pick gray. And it is center aligned. For the columns, I could add a side or a side total as well as expander, so it could be a drill down kind of a grid, but I'm not going to use those features in this demo. I'm going to use it in one of the future demos. For now, I'm going to just say the base column for the pivot grid is the order date. So I'm going to go to the sales order header table and drag and drop order date from here. I'm going to select this field and give it a space. On the rows, on the cross row for the pivot table, I'm going to use the name from the product category table this time. So if I expand the product category, it has a name as well. So that's the one I'm going to use. And for the value, I'm going to use the total sales. So if I scroll down and I will drag and drop the total due column in the value section, and I'm going to again show sum of this in millions. And I'm going to add two more properties at this point of time. So I'm going to keep this field selected, and I'm going to say change the color of the font for this particular column. So I'm going to just go over here, click on color. For all values, I'm going to set up my rule. For all values, use a blue color. I'm going to paste in the hex code. That's the color I want to use. Also, one more thing, so as you can see, this got changed into blue color. So one more thing I want to do is add a subtotal. So I'm going to go to subtotal. I'm going to keep the default name. For the function, I'm going to select sum, and this will be of type money. And from the format, I'm going to select 1 million and click OK. So as you can see, now it is showing me a total of a subtotal of the this column. I'm going to add one more column over here, and that would be for the total number of invoices. So I'm going to go to sales order ID, which is a unique value over here. And I'm going to say this is a count of the number of records and show it in thousands. And this will be called total invoices. So I'm going to go over here and change the name to total invoices. So it got changed to total invoices. I'm going to put the color back. For all values, I'm going to add a similar setting. Paste in the hex code for blue. So looks good. The same thing, I'm going to go to subtotal. I'm going to say use the sum function over here. It will return back numeric, and this time show it in thousands. And click OK. So looks good. Just one thing I want to change is the name of this field. So I'm going to go over here, select the field, scroll up, and in the name, I'm going to say total sales. Looks better. Now I'm going to go to the chart level, select border. I'm going to select the border type. Now I can select that it is only going to have an outer border or a border between the rows, I want both, so I'm going to select this one. So now I have borders along the cells, so for both rows as well as columns. In the column alignment, if you see over here, it is showing that it is left and the text is left aligned. I can change it to be center aligned, but I'm going to keep it as left aligned. For the header, I've marked it as bold. In the font color, I'm going to put it as white for the header. So as you can see right now, it turned to white. And for the background color, for the header, I'm going to use blue. So I got my desired look and feel for the header, but I want to apply the same look and feel to this column as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the advanced formatting option. I'm going to go to conditional formatting. I'm going to add a rule that fire this condition or this rule when this condition is met. So I'm going to say for all values of name when they are being added, apply a special formatting to the name field. And for the format, I'm going to say the background color would be set as blue. And I'm going to copy this rule and I'm going to say font color will be set as white. Click OK. So as you can see, I can define my rules as well, and this looks a lot better. I have the cross table going over here. And now one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off pagination in this case because I don't have those many records. I'm just going to group it in 4 different categories. So with this, my report is done. I'm going to quickly switch to the configuration mode. I can see this report. I can move these report parts around as well. So if I wanted to increase the size, so I'm going to just move it a little bit so that they look a little bit bigger. It takes a little bit more space now. And I'm going to go ahead and click save. You can give it a nice looking name. I can pick a category and click OK. And my report gets saved. I can go back to the list of reports. I have the sample demo report listed over here. Thanks a lot for your time.